before the world awakens, before the chaos begins, before the first notification buzzes and the first voice calls your name, there exists a sacred hour, a moment suspended between the darkness of night and the demands of day. This is your time. This is when mental armor is forged. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern men have forgotten. They knew that the morning is not merely the beginning of another day. It is the foundation upon which your entire existence rests. It is the quiet battlefield where you either conquer yourself or surrender to the forces that will conquer you. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, ruler of the known world, did not begin his days by checking messages from his senators or reviewing reports from distant provinces. He began in silence, in stillness, in conversation with himself and the eternal principles that governed his soul. Each morning, before he faced the criticism of enemies, the weight of impossible decisions, and the temptations that power brings, he built his armor. Not of bronze or steel, but of philosophy, of wisdom, of unshakable inner strength. You live in a different world, but you face the same essential battles. The forms have changed, but the substance remains. Where Marcus faced scheming senators, you face demanding bosses, where he dealt with barbarian invasions. You navigate traffic and deadlines and the endless digital noise that seeks to colonize your mind. The weapons may be different, but the war is the same, the eternal struggle between your higher self and your lower impulses, between wisdom and reaction, between sovereignty and slavery. This is why the morning matters. This is why the first hour of your day is sacred ground that must be defended at all costs. Because everything that follows, every conversation, every decision, every response to stress or provocation flows from how you begin. The man who masters his morning masters his life. The man who surrenders his morning surrenders his sovereignty. Picture this: you wake before the sun, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Not because the world demands it, but because your soul requires it. In the darkness, there is a profound silence that exists nowhere else. No cars passing. Phones ringing. No voices calling. Just you and the eternal quiet that connects you to something larger than the small concerns that will soon flood your day. This is not about productivity, though you will become more productive. This is not about success, though success will follow. This is about something deeper and more fundamental, the daily practice of becoming the man you were meant to be. The morning is your monastery. The silence is your teacher. The discipline is your salvation. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal journal, "Words never intended for public eyes. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." He understood that rising early was not about external achievement, but about internal cultivation. Each morning was a recommitment to his humanity, to his principles, to the philosophical life that transformed him from merely holding power to wielding it with wisdom. The first enemy you face each morning is not your alarm clock, it is your comfort. The warm bed that whispers for 5 more minutes, the pillow that promises rest is more important than purpose. The voice in your head that says tomorrow will be different, that you can start then, that this moment doesn't matter. This voice is not your friend. It is the enemy of everything you claim to want to become. When you rise before you want to, when you choose discipline over comfort, when you say no to the immediate pleasure for the sake of long-term strength, you are practicing voluntary discomfort. This is one of the most powerful Stoic exercises, though it sounds harsh to modern ears. Voluntary discomfort is not about suffering for its own sake. It is about building your capacity to choose your response rather than being controlled by your circumstances. The cold shower that makes you gasp. It's the silence that feels uncomfortable because you're used to constant noise. The early hour that challenges your body's desire for more sleep. These are not punishments, they are practices. Each time you choose the harder path, when you could choose the easier one, you are building mental muscle. You are proving to yourself that you are not at the mercy of your impulses. You are demonstrating that you can be trusted with your own life. In this sacred hour, you do not reach for your phone. This requires explanation, because the modern world has trained you to believe that your device is essential, that the news and messages and updates are urgent, that you must know immediately what happened while you slept. This is an illusion. It is digital slavery disguised as connection. It is the destruction of your inner citadel disguised as staying informed. When you check your phone first thing in the morning, you are immediately surrendering control of your mind to external forces. You are allowing other people's priorities, other people's emotions, or other people's agendas to colonize the most important hour of your day. You are trading your sovereignty for the temporary feeling of being connected to something outside yourself. But connection to everything means connection to nothing. Scattered attention is no attention at all. The Stoic begins his day in conversation with eternal principles, not temporal distractions. He asks himself the questions that matter. What kind of man will I be today? How will I respond when someone tries to anger me? What will I do when faced with temptation? How will I handle criticism, disappointment, unexpected challenges? These questions cannot be answered by scrolling through news feeds or reading messages. They can only be answered in silence, in reflection, in the deep work of examining your own soul. This is where the practice of negative visualization begins. Modern positive thinking tells you to imagine everything going perfectly, to visualize success and happiness and ease. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that life is unpredictable, that suffering is inevitable, that loss and disappointment and hardship are not exceptions, but the rule. So instead of building their hopes on fragile optimism, they built their strength on realistic preparation. Negative visualization is not pessimism, it is insurance. It is the practice of mentally rehearsing difficulties before they arise, so that when they do arise, and they will, you are not shocked into reaction, but prepared to respond. In the morning quiet, you imagine losing what you have. Imagine criticism from those whose opinions matter to you. Imagine failure in something important to you. Imagine physical pain, financial setback, the death of someone you love. This sounds morbid, but it is actually liberating. When you have mentally prepared for loss, you can enjoy what you have without clinging to it. When you have imagined criticism, actual criticism loses its power to destabilize you. When you have contemplated failure, you can take intelligent risks without being paralyzed by fear. You're not inviting these things to happen. You're building immunity to their power over you. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. He would remind himself that he would encounter interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness throughout the day. He did not do this to become cynical, but to become prepared. When these things happened, and they always happened, he was not caught off guard. He had already decided how he would respond. His reactions became responses. His emotions became choices. This is the difference between the man who builds mental armor and the man who goes into battle naked. The armored man has already fought. Today's battle's in his mind. When the actual moment comes, he is not reacting from surprise or emotion, but responding from preparation and principle. His enemies cannot shake him because he has already shaken himself. His critics cannot wound him because he has already examined their potential criticisms and found them wanting or relevant. The morning is also when you practice the fundamental Stoic discipline of separating what you can control from what you cannot. This sounds simple, but it is perhaps the most difficult and most important distinction you will ever learn to make. Most human suffering comes from trying to control things that are outside your influence while neglecting the things that are completely within your power. You cannot control other people's opinions of you, but you can control your actions. You cannot control the economy, but you can control your spending and saving. You cannot control whether you get sick, but you can control how you take care of your body. You cannot control whether others love you, but you can control whether you are worthy of love. You cannot control the weather, but you can control your response to it. In the morning silence, you rehearse this fundamental truth. You remind yourself that your happiness, your peace, your sense of worth and purpose cannot depend on things outside your control, because then your well-being becomes a hostage to circumstances. Instead, you anchor your identity in what is always available to your choices, your effort, your character, your response. This is not a one-time realization, but a daily practice. Every morning, you must remember what you forgot yesterday. Every morning, you must choose again to focus your energy on your sphere of influence rather than dissipating it on things you cannot change. Every morning, you must build the mental armor that will protect you from the chaos and opinions and unexpected challenges that await you. Breathwork is part of this armor. Not the elaborate techniques that promise transcendence, but the simple practice of conscious breathing that grounds you in the present moment. In the morning stillness, you breathe slowly and deliberately. Feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. You notice the pause between inhale and exhale? This is not meditation in the mystical sense, it is attention in the practical sense. You are training your mind to be where your body is, to be present rather than scattered across past regrets and future worries. Your posture matters too. How you hold your body affects how you hold your mind. Slouched shoulders carry defeated thoughts. A lifted chin carries confident thoughts. Relaxed but upright spine carries balanced thoughts. In the morning, you sit or stand with dignity, not because anyone is watching, but because you are watching. You are demonstrating to yourself that you are worthy of respect, starting with your own. The practice of morning journaling or reflection is not about recording events, it is about examining intentions. You write not what happened yesterday, but what you learned from what happened. Not what you hope will happen today, but what kind of person you intend to be, regardless of what happens. Not your goals and ambitions, but your principles and values. The external world is unpredictable, but your internal world can be consistent. What kind of man will I be today? This is the question that should echo through your morning routine. Not what will I accomplish, not what will I acquire, not how will others perceive me, but what kind of man will I be? Patient or reactive, grateful or entitled, courageous or comfortable, present or distracted. These are the questions that shape your character, and your character shapes your destiny. The Stoic does not wake up to fight the world, but to first conquer himself. The battles that matter most are invisible battles. The battle against laziness when discipline is required, against anger when patience is needed, against fear when courage is called for, against pride when humility is wise. These battles are won or lost in the morning, in the quiet moments when no one is watching, and nothing external is at stake except your own integrity. This is why you rise with the sun, or before it. Not because early rising is inherently virtuous, but because the act of rising when you would rather stay in bed is practice for choosing the right thing when you would rather choose the wrong thing. It is practice for delayed gratification, for discipline, for putting your long-term best interests ahead of your short-term comfort. The morning is your training ground for the entire day. In this sacred hour, you're not scrolling, not rushing, not multitasking, not consuming content created by others to capture your attention. You are creating something much more valuable. Calm, centered, prepared mind. You are building the inner citadel that will protect you from the storms that are coming, because storms are always coming. The question is not whether you will face difficulties, but whether you will face them with wisdom and strength, or with panic and weakness. The mental armor you build in the morning is not visible to others, but its effects are unmistakable. Man who begins his day in stillness and reflection moves through the world differently. He is not easily rattled because he is already prepared for being rattled. He is not easily offended because he has already decided that other people's opinions of him are outside his control and therefore irrelevant to his peace of mind. He is not easily discouraged because he has already accepted that setbacks are part of the human experience and not personal failures. This armor is not built in a day or a week or a month. It is built through repetition, through the daily practice of choosing philosophy over emotion, principle over impulse, long-term strength over short-term comfort. Every morning that you rise early is a deposit in the account of your self-respect. Every morning that you choose silence over noise is a withdrawal from the chaos that seeks to claim your peace. Every morning that you prepare your mind before, you engage the world as a victory in the only war that truly matters. It's the war for your own soul. The modern world will tell you that you need coffee to wake up, news to stay informed, music to feel energized, conversation to feel connected. But the Stoic knows that what you truly need is silence, to hear your own thoughts, stillness to feel your own strength, solitude to remember your own principles. Everything else is distraction from the essential work of becoming who you are meant to be. When you establish this morning routine, you will notice changes that surprise you. Criticism that once wounded you will bounce off like rain on armor. Setbacks that once devastated you will become mere obstacles to navigate. Praise that once inflated you will be received with appropriate gratitude, but will not define your worth. You will move through your days with a kind of inner stability that others will notice, but may not be able to explain. This stability comes from knowing that your happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but on internal choices. It comes from having already faced your fears in the morning silence and found them manageable. It comes from having already decided how you will respond to the challenges of the day before those challenges arise. You are not reacting to life. You are responding to it from a place of preparation and principle. The morning routine is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming prepared. It is not about eliminating all negative emotions, but about choosing your relationship to those emotions. It is not about controlling everything that happens to you, but about controlling your response to everything that happens to you. This is the difference between being a victim of circumstances and being the author of your own experience. Marcus Aurelius faced the same temptations you face, just in different forms. The urge to stay in bed rather than face difficult duties. The desire to be liked rather than to do what is right. The temptation to react emotionally rather than respond philosophically. He overcame these temptations not through willpower alone, but through the daily practice of remembering who he wanted to be and why it mattered. You have the same choice available to you every morning. You can begin your day by surrendering control to your phone, your emotions, your circumstances, your impulses. Or you can begin your day by claiming control over the one thing that is always and completely yours, your response to whatever comes. This choice, made consistently over time, is the difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of quiet strength. The path is not easy, but it is available. The practices are not complicated, but they require commitment. The results are not immediate, but they are inevitable. Every morning, you have the opportunity to build mental armor that will serve you, not just for that day, but for the rest of your life. Every morning, you can choose to become a little more of the man you were meant to be. The world does not need another person who is easily shaken, easily offended, easily discouraged. The world needs men who have done the inner work, who have built the inner strength, who can remain calm in chaos and principled under pressure. The world needs men who have learned to conquer themselves before they attempt to change anything else. This is your calling. This is your opportunity. This is your sacred hour. Before the world awakens, before the chaos begins, before the first voice calls your name, you have the chance to armor your mind, to prepare your soul, to choose your character. You have the chance to ensure that whatever happens today, it will not happen to a man who is unprepared. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are the architect of your inner citadel. Every morning is a battle not against others, but against your lesser self. The victory belongs to the man who rises early, sits in silence, prepares his mind, and chooses his character before the day chooses it for him. The victory belongs to the man who understands that true strength is not loud. It is built in the quiet moments when no one is watching and nothing is at stake except your own integrity. This is the Stoic way. This is the path to mental armor. This is how you transform from being someone who merely reacts to life into someone who consciously creates it. The morning is sacred. The silence is powerful. The choice is yours.